Dragon Ball Daima. We've added some more interesting lore. We have a new threat emerging, and Vegeta finally makes his appearance in a fight within the third demon world. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brand here back with you. Variants cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, Dragon Ball Daima episode 9, titled Thieves. And I gotta say, it was a fairly solid episode as far as things are concerned. This one isn't gonna blow you away. It's not gonna be, game changing. It's not going to change the entire narrative for the series, which so far I think the series is not to be rude and disrespectful to Akira Toriyama's legacy. I think it's kind of subpar. I think we're in that weird world of mid, but I do like the fact that we're actually taking some time to expand on the lore and touch kind of upon some new aspects of what we have going on in this universe. In this universe, Goku is still continually being unbearable. And I will explain that dad pun here in a second. Goku is now basically a wanted man. Everyone knows who he is, everyone knows what he's about. He defeated the Tamagami last episode, and he has just been kicking and destroying shop everywhere he's possibly been. He is the bull in the china shop, so to speak. He is now a wanted man. So they decide that, hey, it's best if we put a bear hat on him and kind of keep him low profile. We'll hide the Dragon Ball. We're going to make sure you don't run around with your kendo stick. We're to make sure that you're as low key can possibly get. Goku, of course, doesn't get or understand the message because he's got the IQ of 7. He happens to only know fighting and eating, and that's about it. The amount of patience a woman has to be able to procreate with him, I will never understand. Chi Chi, you could have done better with just about anyone or anything. At least Piccolo is a father that stays. But hey, Goku decides, in the middle of while we are standing in the center of this hotel that we're checking into, because Pansy finally needs a place to shower and rest and all that stuff, which is perfectly reasonable. Goku decides to take off his hat, and everyone knows the kid with spiky hair is the person that you do absolutely know is the guy carrying the Dragon Ball. And they're carrying a giant sphere like bag. I don't know why he didn't get a bigger bag that wouldn't have revealed the shape of the Dragon Ball, but hey, is what it is. Ultimately, the Dragon Ball is then plucked from them later on that night, hatched by a brilliant plan by Thieves, I must say. Cause a stir up in the main room. Everyone will go check the main room. The guy with wings breaks in through the back door, steals the Dragon Ball, and off they go. You think, oh no, this is it. Our heroes are doomed. Turns out Pansy is still one step ahead of everybody, and she attached a radar to the Dragon Ball. Where it was when you look at the Dragon Ball, who can say? But at the same time, Goku then shows up where the Dragon Ball is, and while they're hashing their scheme on how to sell the thing, ultimately only to realize that he's there, and then Goku goes on a full sadist moment. Goku literally gives them a running head start as he's just cracking his knuckles, cracking his neck, and then decides to go after him. If that is not some psychopath type stuff, I don't know what is. Goku then eventually goes back. He's able to acquire the Dragon Ball back from them, and Glorio shows up just in the nick of time. He uses his little magic electrical rope, grabs those two thieves, and yeets them off into the distance. We will not be seeing them again anytime soon. In fact, they could have floated off entirely out of the third demon world for all we know. This was going perfectly for our heroes. Then they're like, hey, when are we meeting up with Vegeta and all the rest of them? Well, it turns out they're going to meet up with them at the end of the day. Unfortunately, Vegeta happened to cause a bar fight because Vegeta, look, I love him, but his manners are absolutely terrible. The guy is one of one in terms of I own this place. I'll walk, talk, and act the way I feel like in any and no uncertain terms. The only person he will act differently towards is probably Beerus and probably Bulma, the two people who are strong enough to beat him up on a daily basis. So at that moment in time, Vegeta starts a bar fight. He is nutshotting everybody because he's taking full advantage of the fact he's short, and it's just right there. Down goes everybody else, and ultimately their ship is then stolen, much akin to the exact same way that when Goku entered this realm, he started a fight at a restaurant, and then their ship was stolen. Thievery runs abound for this third demon world. At this point, I understand that they have been in a tough situation, but they're not really helping themselves or endearing themselves to anybody as this great place to be. We've had 3 rounds of death, I should say, including the Dragon Ball. It's been 9 episodes. Every 3 episodes, something is being thieved from somebody. Not looking good, Third Demon World. Ultimately, we go back to our new Demon King, who has just found out the information that, hey, not only is Goku and his friends made it into the demon realm, but the Tamagami has been defeated, and it was a yesterday that it happened. His advisor's not really good on relaying information, so of course the Demon King is losing his absolute marbles at what's going on, is completely upset with the help, and it's like, look, go do something about it. Don't wait to tell me this information, because then I have to act rashly and act now. What in the world are you thinking? What in the world are you planning? This doesn't make sense. Go do your job. So he's freaking out, and he thought it was going to be, an absolutely kosher time until he heard that the Tamagami was defeated. Now he's freaking out like you would not believe. Fast forward back to Vegeta and the gang. They're kind of meet up with Goku, and they have a moment. Goku's like, hey, we don't have any room for you. Peace. That's essentially what happens. Why would you even bother meeting up with them just to say, hey, we don't have room for you? You could have literally just, gotten on the phone and been like, hey, got no room for you. We'll send another ship for you. Them meeting up just meant to infuriate Vegeta, which, typical Goku. In no uncertain terms, Vegeta is now absolutely livid because he's like, I waited all day for you. Now you're telling me that there's no room for us. Why did you even bother having us wait? We could have tried doing something else in order to move. Like, hey, maybe steal somebody else's ship. I'm just saying. But also, while we're in this moment in time, the robbers then show up who are trying to rob Vegeta, who did rob Vegeta, and are just like, hey, we stole your ship. Now we're here to beat you up. We brought some really strong guys. You picked the wrong date and time for this. Vegeta's already pretty upset. So he's going to go out and handle business, and him and Piccolo go out and take out everybody really quickly. They basically leave one of them just barely conscious. And with the amount of headshots that they were doing via punches or kicks, I'm surprised anyone is going to be able to live without brain damage, because they were literally point blank shots directly to the back of the temple, which, if you know if you're a fighter, that's basically how you end someone's existence. So don't really do it. But again, they leave one of them just conscious enough, relays the information where their ship is, so now they can get their ship and kind of go back on track. Fast forward again, we are now with Marba, who his plan has gone absolutely brilliantly with Aransu. Ultimately, the change in lore that we had is the fact that Cybermen were created by Marba and sold by her to outsiders. So, through no strenuous circumstances, Marba and Vegeta have probably crossed paths at some point, or at least crossed paths with a Saiyan at some point. Because how in the world did the Cybermen go from where they were, ultimately getting into the hands of Nappa and Vegeta? These things have to absolutely come together and mesh beautifully. Otherwise, the history is a little flawed. But hey, they put a Cyberman in with the creation of the Majin that they are absolutely working on. And ultimately, is adding a little bit of water. Now the pot explodes, and out arises the one, the only Majin Ku. And for all intents and purposes, well, Aratsu's got big plans for him. Doesn't even give him a warm-up plan or warm-up time or anything of that nature, but it looks like they may have lost the ability to do the mental telepathy thing. So that is probably a huge boon for everybody, because Aransu seems like she's absolutely 5 steps ahead of everybody else. Majin Ku's first plan, go out and take out Tamagami from the first demon world. Her logic, if you can't get this done, you're not going to be able to stop Goku anyway. So it's pretty solid as far as logic is concerned. And honestly, I'm curious to see what happens with the rest of this anime. Hey, you've listened to me talk for about 8.5 minutes now. Be sure to hit that lovely red subscribe button. It greatly helps the channel out. We have over 1,000 videos on the channel for you to choose from. So clearly there should be something here that you like and or enjoy. I've been Brent for Geek Variants. I'll see you in the next one.